On today's episode of Infinity Sports, we're going to be talking about Kyrie Irving asking for LeBron James to be the logo of the NBA. We'll be talking some Zion. Kobe, I'm sorry. We'll be talking about Tiger Woods' car crash, Russell Wilson. We're going to bring back Fact or Fiction. We haven't done that in forever. And we're going to start things off with Zlatan and LeBron right after this 8-second intro. Welcome to Infinity Sports. I'm Wayne G. I'm joined, as always, by Sully. What's up?
Hey, what's poppin'?
And Nick P. What's going on?
What's up, guys? It's your boy Nick P, a.k.a. Max Kellerman, a.k.a. Skip Bayless.
I was going to say, Skip Bayless, Max Kellerman. That's kind of the where we're going.
That's the trend.
Honestly, I think you got to throw some Collinsworth in there, too.
Collinsworth. I'll take Tony Romo as well.
Not Collinsworth. Who's the one who just went to the other network? He's got his own show.
Oh,
we both hate him.
What's that?
We both hate his guts.
It's not Collinsworth.
No, it's not. We both hate
Coward.
his guts. Coward.
Colin Coward. Yeah, Colin Coward. Yeah, I can go a little bit of that. Who's that sportscaster that bit that lady? Marv Albert.
Yeah, he's a play-by-play guy, though.
Yeah. A little bit of him, too. Anyway, sorry, Wayne.
So we're kicking off the show with a big story that's kind of even trickled into today. We'll go over the updates, but Zlatan Ibrahimovic, who is maybe my favorite soccer player because of his arrogance and outspokenness, has come out and said the following about LeBron James. He said, LeBron is phenomenal at what he does, but I don't like when people have some kind of status, they go to politics at the same time. Do what you're good at. Do the category you do. I play football because I'm the best at playing football. I don't do politics. If I was a political politician, I would do politics. That is the first big mistake that people do when they become famous and become in a certain status. Stay out of it. Just do what you do best because it doesn't look good. So it's reminiscent, I think, of Laura Ingraham saying, shut up and dribble. And obviously LeBron always ends up at the center of these controversies. But I did want to get your take on celebrities and athletes in general giving their political opinion to the masses.
I think we've touched on this briefly, like when we talked about the shut up and dribble and things like that. I'm actually in favor of what Zlatan said. I don't like celebrities and people like that using their influence to talk about political topics because truthfully they're not experts on said topic and they influence so many people that they're possibly having uneducated information, passed on down the train. And it just creates this snowball effect of a lot of bad info influencing a lot of people. And I mean, you have the right to say anything you want and do things like that. By all means, I'm not saying, you don't have the right to do that or I don't want you to do that. But you've got to be smart. And I don't think it should. You've got to make sure that you're educated on the situation because of the amount of people that you are influencing. It's just in the social media age, you reach so many people. So
I'm going to, I guess I'm going to do a disservice by trying to clarify what I feel Zlatan was saying. And what I feel Zlatan was saying was, LeBron, you sound like an idiot when you talk about politics. So you need to stop talking about politics because I don't think Zlatan would make that same statements or similar statements to a guy like Marcus Rashford, for example, from Manchester United, who's out there creating charities to make sure that there are no children that are going hungry throughout the entire UK, right? Which is a significant problem right now that, the British are facing. And Marcus Rashford's doing something. It's very political, but it's also charitable at the same time. I don't think that Zlatan's going to say those kind of things about athletes who are making a difference in a positive way. I think Zlatan just, for whatever reason, decided to put it as delicately as he could in saying that, LeBron, you sound like an idiot when you talk about politics. That being said, I don't necessarily agree with Zlatan because I like when LeBron inserts his opinions on politics and things like that because it does make him look like an idiot, more reasonable people, and I'm all for anything that makes him look like an idiot. And he does it so well. I mean, LeBron's a great basketball player, obviously, one of the best of all time. I'll give him that. But it's things like this that will tarnish LeBron's legacy, in my opinion. And I say let's have more of it.
See, and I feel like in a way it's what everybody wanted Michael Jordan to do back in the day, and he wouldn't, which is kind of step out and be a spokesperson for things. And LeBron James, I'll give him credit for that. And to Sully's point, like I said, we're not taking away anyone's freedom of speech. If you want to talk about stuff, talk about stuff. But I think you need to be responsible with your platform. And if you can establish that you know what you're talking about, and I'm not saying that LeBron doesn't even, because I don't think I've watched enough of his takes on things. But if he could do something maybe with a debate that he does with somebody like a Charlie Rose, or just kind of like, and showcase his knowledge and what he knows, I might say, all right, he's cool. He can talk about, like Jon Stewart. I think Jon Stewart's fine to talk about whatever he wants. I mean, I think he knows what he's talking about, even if you disagree with him, And I think that LeBron James could do the same thing. If he just does something where he can show that he knows what he's talking about. But I think that the problem with me and LeBron is that it's not what he's standing for or what he's trying to do. It's that I always feel in some way, some shape or form, LeBron is trying to make it about him. He's not trying to shine light on an issue. He's trying to be the face of the issue because it's all about him. And that's what really rubs me the wrong way.
Yeah, I'd agree with that take too. I think that's absolutely a fair point, because when he says, LeBron makes polarizing statements all the time without even probably realizing it, because again, he's an idiot. He says things like "my people" and like these sort of things. It's like, come on, LeBron, you're not Moses, okay? Let my people go, if you will. I don't understand. I don't understand LeBron's thought process, other than he wants to give himself continue to give himself a platform to be relevant in everything. He doesn't even need to do that. You can't go on ESPN without seeing at least 15 to 16 LeBron-related posts. I know what he eats for breakfast every day, thanks to ESPN. So I don't know. I think, I don't know. I'm glad Michael Jordan didn't do it. I'm glad Kobe Bryant didn't do this sort of stuff. Republicans buy shoes too, right?
They sure do. And it's also too, like, unfortunately, like a lot of the things like that he, like, I hate to bring this up, but like, when you wear a Breonna Taylor t-shirt or something like that, and it's like, you don't understand the situation and like actually kind of what happened and things like that. And, and you promote this almost mob mentality, with these masses that you're reaching, and it can be a problem, and it can create a shitstorm, for lack of a better word. And I think, like you said, you hit the nail on the head. You've got to use your platform if you would like. Please use your platform, but you have to be more responsible. You have to understand what you're actually saying. It's not hard to take a couple hours and invest some time. If you truly care about what you're preaching about and you truly care about what message you're giving, take some time and learn what's behind that message. You made a great point. Marcus Rashford has gone out and literally by himself fed hundreds of thousands of kids and done wonderful things. And, you don't hear anything about it, obviously, one, because it's America and not England, but two, because he's not like out there, like, promoting himself, like you mentioned, Wayne. Like, he's not doing things like that. It's done, behind the scenes with actual people movers and things that are able to, and people that are able to get stuff done. And that's what I would more like to see from these guys if they really want to be in the political platform and really want to make themselves a focus on that, wave.
Well, I thought LeBron James came out today and he said, it's funny that he said that because I believe in 2018 he was the same guy when he was in Sweden talking about the same things, because his last name wasn't a certain last name. He felt like there was racism going on the pitch. So, is LeBron right? Is Zlatan kind of a hypocrite here because he was outspoken about racism in Sweden? In 2018?
No, because LeBron took that situation with Zlatan and used it completely out of context. Zlatan was being grilled by media in Sweden. It wasn't in Sweden. It was during an international break where he was being grilled by media, and he brought up the point that, like, when he does something wrong, the Swedish media is not quick to come to his defense because he's not really looked at as a Swede, right? Like, he's not really, because of his last name and because of his Bosnian heritage, he's not really considered a Swede. And Swedes are Christian. They're not Muslim. Ibra is a Muslim. So there is that, and he didn't cry out and say, like, it's like blatant racism. He mentions the same things about, like, racial undertones, right? With some of like the narrative for the Swedish media. And you see this all across the world. Like LeBron wouldn't understand this sort of stuff because we want to pretend that there's some sort of police epidemic in this country where they're just out shooting unarmed black people. I mean, that's not the reality of the situation. The reality of the situation is in places like Sweden, the media is not going to come to your defense if they don't look at you as an actual Swede, right? Like there is significant racial undertones in British societies right now towards the Irish. It's just things like that, right? Like it's just very significant in some circles. And I don't look at Zlatan as being a hypocrite because Zlatan gets grilled by the media on these sort of things. LeBron like voluntarily starts spouting this stuff off.
Not only that, the racism in soccer is not like an unknown problem. I mean, like it's a rampantly huge, massive problem where teams have walked off the pitch because of it. Like this, and this isn't like something like in America where if you're in the stands and you scream anything at a player that's in any kind of racial undertone in America, you're immediately thrown out. In all these other countries, they throw batteries, they're yelling, they're screaming, they can do anything they want. Nothing happens. It's like accepted culture over there, which I'm not saying is a good thing or anything like that. I'm just saying the difference in racism that Zlatan is talking about and LeBron is talking about are two totally different spectrums of racism and segregation and things like that. At the same point, like Nick mentioned, it's easy to find a single snippet of something and then try to flip that and call somebody a hypocrite because of it. If that's the one time Zlatan has mentioned some kind of race issue, and it may not be the one, but if that's like the one he pulls is from 3 years ago and 1 point when he's getting grilled, and then meanwhile LeBron, every single time something comes up, thinks he has to become Superman for that agenda. I mean, they're two completely different things. And I mean, I think he even knows that. Like, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah,
I mean,
and to Sully's,
go on.
And what I was going to say, and to Sully's point, like, LeBron is not accustomed to being on the field while tens of thousands of Italian fans make monkey gestures or throw banana peels at players.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like things like that. Like LeBron has he has no understanding of what that's like, not just for the players that are being targeted, but for the teammates of those players. And Zlatan has been a teammate to players like that. And it's like there are differences. There are distinct differences between what happens in this country and what sort of racism or political environments look like in other parts of the world. And even though LeBron says he's educated, because I think, Wayne, to your point, he did mention, like, I am very well educated and he shouldn't be telling these things to me. Like, no, you're not, LeBron. You're not well educated because Zlatan's talking of a worldly view because he's played in the world, all over the world. You have not.
And I think to Sully's point, too, what makes sense is, like you said, every time something comes up, LeBron runs to the front of the wagon to be the face of the movement, right?
Right.
And I think that's the issue is instead of taking a few seconds to say, I do want to speak about this. This is something that is, consistent with my platform, but I want to take a few minutes to look at everything first. Then I'll comment on it. Like I said, LeBron is like, I need to get out in front of this. And then there's almost like a level of self-importance because after Laura Ingraham said, shut up and dribble, I think his comment was, I'm too important to the world to shut up. And I'm like, yes. Whoa, who are you, Gandhi? Like, come on.
Right. Exactly. That's what I mean. My people, I'm too important to the world. It's a little bit much for LeBron James.
I mean, is it though? I mean, look, I mean, it obviously is, but in his head, I mean, the guy since he's been 16 has been labeled the Messiah, you know what I mean? Like King James and all this shit. Yeah, and it's like I'm telling you, like he lives in a different kind of realm and world that we live in. Like he truly probably believes he is like some otherworldly special being, like no lie. And so I mean I understand kind of the talk he does, but again, I think the main point we all agree here is use your platform if you want, but you've got to be smart about it. Like, we don't come into this show just talking about random things. Like, you know what I mean? Like even we take the time to even look up and do some research before we just spout off. And I mean, we reach, we're lucky if we reach 1,000 people. This guy's reaching millions upon hundreds of millions of fans. And it's like, look, you've got to understand your reach is further than you think, and you're affecting more lives than you actually are taking into account.
Well, and the point that Nick made off the air when we were talking, Nick was commenting on my arrogance, which I think most people find amusing, but some people do find it abrasive. And Nick mentioned the Roman, right? You said, who was the Octavius?
Caesar Augustus.
Caesar Augustus had the guy in the back saying, "You're just a man," as people were cheering. LeBron needs that guy in his ear saying, "You're just a man," right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's exactly right. I think, you can, and you can probably point to many athletes who actually are what LeBron wants to be in his head, right? Like, if you look at a guy like Ronaldo, or if you look at a guy like Lionel Messi, or if you look at the Michael Jordans and Kobe Bryants of the world, I mean, they just excelled in what they did. They stayed out of like all the polarization and that kind of stuff. And it's why, I mean, you can't assign a political position to any of those players that I just made. I mean, LeBron's just trying to establish a movement, and it's the LeBron James movement. It's not about the movement.
I think that's fair.
Yep.
Keeping it with basketball and kind of some crazy thoughts, Kyrie Irving, who is no stranger to saying crazy things, has come out and said that he thinks Kobe Bryant should be the logo for the NBA. Now, I did some digging on this. We just talked about doing research, and I didn't realize Jerry West doesn't want to be the logo. Like, he's sick of it. He's actually said 4 years ago, he said, "Can you please make the logo Kareem or Jordan or LeBron and not make it me? I don't want it to be me." He's kind of embarrassed by it. He feels like the logo overshadows his legacy as a player. People refer to him as the logo, and he doesn't like that. So it's perfect timing, too, because with Kobe dying last year, there was almost like, what can we do to celebrate, Kobe? And making him the logo kind of seems like that thing. But there's downsides. So to me, it's like, does it make sense financially? Who are you looking to sway by doing this? And also the big thing is, can the NBA really make Kobe Bryant the face of the NBA given his questionable past?
Well, for a couple of things, to start, I don't think they should change, the logo to something like Kobe. For one, I don't think he has an iconic image that you look at it and you're like, that's Kobe Bryant, like as a silhouette. Now, granted, we learned that through Jerry West, and I don't think anybody thought he had an iconic image. But if you're going to change your brand, I think you should go with like a more iconic image. I would try to get in there with Jordan somehow and try to make a Jumpman a logo somehow. I just would. I just would. I think it would expand the brand of the NBA more too. And not only that, I mean, the Kobe, didn't they name the All-Star MVP award after him?
Probably, yeah.
I know they did, and that was like his tribute. So now the Kobe Bryant award is the All-Star MVP. So I think that was their tribute. I truly don't think the NBA is going to move off this logo. Like you said, it's almost a total rebrand at that point. And financially, I don't think it makes sense.
Yeah, I don't look at it as like a financial. I mean, I look at it because I think the original person, Wayne, correct me if I'm wrong, the original person who brought this up was like Kyrie Irving, but there were a few others.
And Kyrie's the last guy you want back in your cause, by the way.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm obviously all for it. I think I don't think it'll happen for reasons that we're discussing. I don't think that the NBA is really that motivated to make it happen, and I also don't think, Wayne, to your comment, Kobe has some questionable items in his past, we'll say. And they come up all the time, right? Like I remember when Kobe Bryant died, all throughout SportsCenter, you'd have random comments coming in being like, why are we celebrating a rapist and all these sort of things? And it's like, come on, people. If you followed the case, you understand the situation. But the point is, I'm all for a Kobe Bryant NBA logo. I think that you can definitely find in the Rolodex an iconic image to build around Kobe Bryant. I just don't, to Sully, your overall point, I just don't think that it will happen. And it's not like, again, to your point, having a guy like Kyrie Irving championing your cause favorites either. So unless you had Kobe Bryant, shooting a jump shot on the edge of flat Earth, that'd be pretty cool.
Well, why does it have to be a player is my question. Why can't it just be a generic image of a guy dribbling, shooting, dunking, whatever it is? Why does it have to be modeled after a player? Just because Jerry West was the model, it has to be another player? I don't think it does. And plus, I think it brings in too much licensing stuff. Like you said, the Jumpman logo. Forget Michael Jordan's going to want $10 billion to use that logo as the NBA logo. So if you use a
specific owner, though, but he's an owner, so
it's conflict of interest at that point. It wouldn't be.
I guess you're right. That is conflict of interest at that point. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So I don't think it has to be an iconic image. It just has to be a different image. If Jerry West really just doesn't want to be the logo anymore, then I guess whatever.
Too bad for Jerry. Then honestly, I would think truly, honestly, too bad for Jerry. Sucks to be you, bro. You think Mr. Potato Head wanted to just be called Potato Head from now on? You know what I mean? No, I don't know. I just don't think that they ever would change it, and I don't think they should either, honestly, if I'm being honest. I know I was behind it before, but I mean, I like the logo. Honestly, I don't think any of the new generation even knows who Jerry West is anyway. And, once he dies, then what? Then did you take it away? Do you give it back to him because Jerry West died? Do you go back to the old logo? Just leave it how it is, let it play out, and, we'll go.
I got a trivia question for you both again. I know we have a trivia section, but I want to ask you guys this question. So it's not definitive, but it's highly, highly thought of this player being the model for the MLB logo.
Mickey Mantle.
That's your guess? Mickey Mantle? What do you think, Sully? I don't know the extent of your baseball historical knowledge. I would assume you're both pretty.
No, I know baseball.
I'll give you a hint. It is a left-handed hitter.
Yeah. Oh, Teddy Williams.
Oh, that's actually a really good guess. Harmon Killebrew.
It's not. I mean, it's Hammer. It's not. It's not. I mean, it's. When would the logo change?
1968.
Logo, so 1968. Yeah. I mean, but that's obviously we're not sure about that, right?
Yeah, well, that's like the general school of thought. MLB has never come out and authenticated it, but that's what. Yeah, so, that's why I said it's kind of a moot point. But
while we're on Kobe talk, did you guys see Meek Mill's lyric?
Oh, the helicopter crash. Yeah.
Yeah.
Vanessa said no.
Don't
Yeah, crashing in a chopper like Kobe Bryant or something, and then I don't know. I think that's kind of messed up, if I'm being honest, because it doesn't celebrate his greatness. It almost makes light of the fact he died in a helicopter crash, and it's I don't know. And Meek Mill's from Philly. If I was in Philly and that's where Kobe was from, so he obviously has a huge backing, I'd be pissed as shit too. Because again, I think it sounds like he's almost mocking the death at that point.
It was only a matter of time. I mean, maybe it's not enough time, but I watched a Family Guy episode where they made fun of 9/11.
Yeah,
so if you can make fun of that, you can't make fun of Kobe Bryant dying. I mean,
you can, but how much flack did Family Guy get? A ton. I remember that. Honestly, kind of specifically, and they got a ton of flack for it. And you're gonna get a ton of flack for this kind of stuff. And I mean, you would think the guy from Philly though, and who understood all that would try to avoid that, but.
Continuing with basketball, I wanted to get Nick's take on this, and he can lead this segment. He wanted to talk about Zion Williamson and his progression so far. He has hinted he might be in the dunk contest this year, which would be really cool because I think that he is one of the better dunkers in the league. But I'm curious, Nick, why did you want to talk about Zion's progression?
Well, it's honestly, for me, it's mainly because I see so much out there about the records that Zion's breaking and the averaging the 30 points and all these sort of things. And it's no knock to Zion, honestly, because I think Zion's a good kid. I think he's a really good player who is probably right at the expectations that he was expected to be at, quite frankly. I just look at Zion Williamson as somebody who how sustainable is Zion Williamson? Because he looks like Michael Sweetney, and he jumps like Vince Carter-ish. That's probably doing a disservice to Vince. Apologies. But I just wonder – I look at Zion and I'm like, look, man, you're like a 21, 22-year-old kid. You are the sixth heaviest player in the league. You look dumpy on the floor. You've already had knee issues at a young age. Those things don't tend to work well over time. So I feel bad for Zion. I think he's getting a lot of hype. He should as a number one pick. He's been performing, but it's like, up until what point? Up until what point is my question with Zion. And it's not like he's helping his team win, for example. I don't think he's the best player on his team.
Who's better than him on his team? Brandon Ingram? I don't think Brandon Ingram's better. I mean, Zion Williamson is just freaky efficient in my opinion, and I think that's what is separating him from other young players and things like that. The guy, makes pretty much every shot he takes because they're high percentage shots, but he's doing it like very effectively and very efficiently. And to your point, the team doesn't win. Well, he's got one other guy on his team that's an all-star and any good in Brandon Ingram. After that, you've got Lonzo Ball averaging 14, Eric Bledsoe struggling to average 12. Like these guys are just names that like they sound good and they look kind of good on paper, but let's be real, it's not a good basketball team. So like he can only do so much, and I mean, like I don't know .
So you're going to tell me Zion has less talent than a guy like John Morant, whose second best player has not played a single minute this season?
No, I won't say that. I mean, again, I'm on record of saying I love John Morant. I think he's better than Zion Williamson. I also think he's better suited to succeed in this NBA because I don't think it's a big man's league. But that's still like I don't know. I think like you're trying to like shade on his shine right now, and I don't see any reason to not be hyping and pumping up Zion right now. Now, I agree Zion or Josh should be getting more light, and Zion just gets the main spotlight. But just because one guy isn't getting the spotlight means you should put the shade on the other guy. I think what Zion's doing is incredible. I think it's insane to watch. I truly don't think anybody actually expected him to be this dominant in the NBA.
I don't think he's dominant. I think
he's going on averaging 30 points and shooting 80% and things like that.
He's losing, and
who cares
against loser matchups. Like if he has to match up in a playoff situation against like AD, or if he has to match up in a playoff situation against like even like a guy like Udonis Haslem. I mean, Tristan Thompson made him look like a child until Brad
came back and won that game. Speaking of the guy can't win games.
Well, I wouldn't say.
Oh wait, that wasn't Zion, right? That was Brad Stevens' fault. He lost that game. Zion.
Well, it was Brad Stevens' fault, but it was also Brandon Ingram who won that game. Brandon Ingram hit the game-winning three. Did not. I mean.
Oh, okay. So Zion's 30 points and what was he? 17 to 18? Yeah, you're right. That wasn't him winning that game. He didn't have anything to do with that.
Oh, I'm not saying he didn't have anything to do with it, but Ingram was the best player on the team. When they need somebody to take the final shot, it's going to Brandon Ingram. It's not going to Zion Williamson.
I don't know. At this point right now, truthfully, all you do is sound like a hater. Like you do. Like you just sound like it doesn't seem like there's any you have no reason. Your whole reason is they're losing games. Well, that's not Zion's fault. What else can Zion do at this point? The guy's breaking records and his team's still losing. That's not his fault. Like
my point is he gets hyped like he's the superstar that, and he should be as the number one pick, that he's going to help carry a franchise, but he's really just Zach Randolph on a really bad team. He's really just a Pau Gasol on a really bad team. He's going to put up crazy good numbers.
So he's a Hall of Famer.
He needs to play with a guy who is going to carry him to an extent. I mean, I think Brandon Ingram. I just don't think it's I don't think that they play well off each other, and that's the issue with New Orleans as a whole. But I also think that like Zion's a guy that's going to need to go play with like a LaMelo Ball at some point in his career. Zion's the type of guy who's going to need to join a quote unquote super team, and that's assuming. Well, yeah, I mean, but it wasn't always that way. Like Giannis isn't that way.
And I think to your point that it's not necessarily a bad thing, because I think that we've talked ad nauseum about how everybody needs somebody else, and I understand what you're saying, that in order for Zion to win a championship, he needs to be with another star who can carry him. In order for Ja Morant to win a championship, he needs to be with another star that he could carry. Those two would be perfect together, right? But they're both stars. I don't want to diminish one as not being a star just because he.
Yeah, but I look at Zion as more. I look at Ja as the type of person who turns a franchise around. I look at Zion as the type of person who literally is, like, to my point, Pau Gasol in Memphis, Zach Randolph. Like, I look at like him as that type of guy where it's like his numbers will get diluted if and when he gets to a better team with a better superstar. His numbers will become diluted, and maybe he'll learn a thing or two. And that's a huge if, right? Like, now we're playing the if game. So that's a huge if, because I don't think Zion's going to put a 10-year stretch in where he's healthy, period. I just don't see that happening for him. I don't see his ceiling as him being able to be a superstar level player for greater than a 5-year period. I just don't see it. I think once age 25 hits, he's screwed. That's my take on it. And it's nothing he did. I mean, part of it's genetics. It just is what it is. But I think he's screwed.
I don't know. I think it's just. I think you're just sipping the haterade at this point because you're upset that Ja isn't getting shine.
No. I'm not upset because that's what motivates Ja. I love that Ja gets overlooked because Ja will be the first person to tell you.
Like Ja's not going to win a championship for Memphis. No way.
Well, I don't know. We'll see when Triple J comes back. So you're going
to sit here with a straight face and tell me that Memphis team has any shot at all at beating the Lakers?
Well, are we talking winning a championship this year? I mean, I like to see them just make the playoffs.
Like, you're talking about winning right now. So what's it matter? Like, if Zion's not going to win right now and he's going to get better down the road, then you have to treat Ja with the same kind of.
Yeah, but Ja's in the playoff hunt. Ja's in the playoff hunt with less talent, much less talent. I mean, it's not even the same stratosphere as to what Ja plays with in Memphis compared to what Zion plays with in New Orleans.
I don't know.
Wayne likes Lonzo Ball, so you were slating Lonzo Ball, but I don't think Lonzo Ball is a bad point guard, especially with those sort of guys around him. I don't think he's a bad point guard at all.
I never said he was bad, but again, like, you're trying to like make it seem like the Hornets are like a great team and should be like competing and things like that. I mean the Pelicans. I did that before pre-show too.
Yeah, I know.
You make it seem like they should be competing, and it's like they're lucky if they're a 7 or 8 seed. And it's like, as a talent wise, and I mean the Pelicans.
They'll never be a 7 or 8 seed. Memphis is going to be like a 7 or 8 seed.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, Memphis is lucky to get a 7 or 8 seed. That team isn't talented either. But what I'm saying is I don't think you're trying to say like the Pelicans are a team that are being like should be competing or something just because they have Zion. Well, it's like, no, like, you've got to get help.
Why?
Like Brandon.
But then why was he the number one pick? Why does he get more hype than a guy like Ja Morant? Because if Ja was in New Orleans, they'd be in the playoff hunt. You put Ja in New Orleans and with Brandon Ingram and that
and what,
team,
they're an 8 seed? Cool. Like, why is that any better than a 10 seed?
They'd be better than an 8 seed.
I don't know. Would they? I don't think he fits on that team, honestly, with Lonzo and Brandon Ingram. But
the reason he gets more hype is because he was getting 1 million views on YouTube as a 15, 16-year-old sophomore in high school. So everybody knows who he is.
Yes.
Nobody knew who Ja Morant was until he had a great year in college. Like, they didn't know who he was. Nobody knew. He went to a small school. Nobody knew who Ja Morant was. But then
he's in Memphis.
Right, but he blew up. So I think that when you say why does he get more hype than Ja Morant, it's because people have been watching him for longer and been anticipating him for longer. I think Ja Morant's going to get there. He's a superstar. I think Zion's a superstar too. And I agree with Sully's point. Like, I don't want to like take anything away from Zion because of what his team isn't doing. I mean, I would want him on the Lakers. I mean, maybe not instead of Anthony Davis, who's a top 5 player, but I would want him on pretty much any team. I mean, he's a superstar.
That's what I mean. Like, there's no team in the league that, like, if you put Zion on the block, wouldn't mortgage their future to get him. Like, and I mean, I'd say the same exact thing about Ja. And so, again, I think I don't know. I feel like you're shitting on Zion right now for essentially no reason. Like
no,
again, his team's not winning games, but like,
it's not for no reason. It's like he can't carry a franchise.
He can't neither can Ja Morant.
He can't. Well, I think Ja can. Hence, Memphis is in the playoffs.
What do you mean? He needs help to. You just said he can't carry a franchise to a championship.
But you're not going to build around Zion Williamson. You're not going to build a team around Zion Williamson. I'm
Yes,
sorry.
you are.
Nobody's going to do it. Wayne would
Yeah,
take him if he didn't have AD, but you had LeBron. You wouldn't take Zion if you didn't have those two players to build your franchise around. But I bet you'd take Ja. I would take LaMelo to build a franchise around before I take Zion.
There's no
it's
way.
just
I wouldn't take Ja on the Lakers over LeBron or AD either, though.
Right, but I'm not comparing that to that. I'm just saying, like, there's certain players that you can identify that you can build a team around and literally build around that player. I don't look at Zion as one of those guys, especially long-term project. I mean, the guy weighs 300 pounds at 6'7". He's Michael Sweet.
What I'm saying, though, is that's a positional thing. The way that he plays the position and the position he plays, that's a product of that. I wouldn't build a team around Karl Malone. The guy's a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Top three scorer around Tim Duncan.
Well, I would around Tim Duncan, but
yeah. What do you mean?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't. This is a guard league. You need a 1 and a 2 that can
you're
shoot
saying
the
now.
ball.
I see what you're saying. So you're saying you wouldn't build a team around Tim Duncan now or Karl Malone now?
Yes.
Okay. I
yes. Like if I had the chance.
Yeah. But that's my point.
And that's just the position. But that's not taking anything away from Zion. Like the guy's still. I mean, like you can't knock how stupidly. Like, did you honestly think he was going to come in the league and be this efficient and this dominant and bully like NBA guys at 19 years old? Like, did you really think that?
Because he's athletic and 300 pounds. Let's see how sustainable that is.
He's 280. All right.
Well, he's listed at 280. You ever watch him play? He don't look no 280. I'll tell you
I
what.
think I don't think he looks at his shape, man. I really don't.
If he's 6'5", he looks 280. I don't know. I mean,
I don't think he looks at his shape, to be honest. So, but I mean, I get your point, and I agree with your point. In 8 years, he won't be as explosive, and he won't be able to just sky over people, or 8, 10 years, wherever it may be. And he's gonna have to learn how to shoot. Blake Griffin, I think, is a much better kind of, trail or kind of, comp to him, and like follow his plan essentially. Develop an outside shot, become more of a threat, behind the arc and things like that, and then expand your game and you become a better player. Again, that's a big if, and we'll see, but I think that would have to be his trend. So.
Yeah. And my point is Zion gets superstar hype in a league that does not favor his position, his skill set, and that's annoying to me. It's very annoying to me.
Well, obviously we're getting closer and closer. I know you guys are anticipating fact or fiction, but I did want to talk about first Russell Wilson coming out and saying, because a lot of stuff had come out, and he said, listen, guys, I don't want to be traded. I didn't tell the team I want to be traded, but, I would waive my no trade clause if the team is hell-bent on trading me to these 4 teams. And it was the Saints, the Bears, the Cowboys, and the Raiders. And we've talked off the air. I know Nick thinks that means it's the Raiders because the Seahawks would not trade him in conference. I made the point that in conference doesn't matter. In division does, but in conference isn't that big a deal. I wanted to get Sully's take first before Nick goes off the deep end on his 4 destinations that he would waive the no trade.
I agree with you, Wayne. I think taking a conference in general off the table, no team does that. We've seen plenty of teams trade in conference before. And it
top 5 quarterbacks? Give me an example of a top 5 quarterback who got traded in conference.
Quarterbacks get traded. To be fair, you don't see top 5 quarterbacks even get traded. So you're not going to see a lot of them, you're not going to have a huge sample size. I don't think it matters because to Wayne's point, like you mentioned off the thread, you're going to see him, once every maybe 2 or 3 years, and then maybe in the playoffs. And then, again, to your point, if you trade him out of conference, you may see him in the Super Bowl. So you may have to play the guy at some point at one time or another at any chance you have. So I don't think teams truthfully think about that. I do think they think about it in a negotiation point. If teams are close, if the Raiders are offering a comparable deal as the Cowboys, if they're offering close deals, then yes, I think they'll go with a team that's out of conference. I think that may sway a decision. I don't think they take any teams off the table because of a conference. So I guess that's kind of my take on that. Having said all that, I think the Cowboys are the best spot. I think it makes the most sense for both teams. I think that they can franchise Dak, trade Dak, and another compensation to the Seattle, and I think the deal gets done easy. I also think it's more of a struggle for Oakland because it's going to take Carr and then I think more picks than it would to get Dak and picks. Now we've seen Oakland, move Mac, and so I know they're willing to make big deals. But I don't know. I think it would be tougher for Oakland to make the deal than it would be for a team like the Cowboys.
I don't know. I don't think that you exclusively have to trade a top 5 guy outside of the conference. Obviously, that's ridiculous. But I also think that if you're talking, and this is all hypothetical because Russell Wilson's not going anywhere. But if you have to, it's not like the Cowboys are going to come in and say, we'll give you 3 first-rounders and a couple third-rounders for Russell Wilson, and Oakland's going to, or the Vegas is going to come in and they're going to say, we'll give you this shiny bag of nickels. I mean, all the deals are going to be similar. And with that being said, you're going to have a situation where you're going to want to choose to keep him as far away from you as visibly possible. There's a significant difference between playing a team in the playoffs and a significant statistical likelihood of playing a team interconference in the playoffs as opposed to playing a team in the Super Bowl. I think you both can reasonably say that it's a lot harder to get to a Super Bowl than it is to get to a postseason. You also play more people in the postseason than you do in a Super Bowl. So I think, it's just, like I said, it's kind of a ridiculous thing because Russell Wilson's not going anywhere. Maybe he's burnt out from Pete Carroll. I was burnt out from Pete Carroll after he blew the Super Bowl against New England. So I don't know how Pete Carroll got off after that. But, I don't know. I think all the deals will be very similar, and I think the weight will come in where it's like, oh, I could trade him to Vegas and not have to see him maybe ever.
I think that to your point, he may not be moved. I do think that there is a likelihood he does, though, because of how many quarterbacks are out there right now that are available, that if Seattle feels like, listen, if he's not happy with the coaching situation or us building defense instead of offense, whatever it is, why wouldn't we just grab one of these other quarterbacks that's out there and 3 or 4 first-round picks, too? I mean, it makes sense for us just to move on from him. And, again, if you're a team –
if you're the Allen family, though, Wayne, let's just say you own the Seattle Seahawks, and Russell Wilson comes to you and says, I'm sick of Pete Carroll. Are you going to say, well, maybe we should consider going a different direction than our quarterback to keep Pete Carroll?
Yes, because I can get 4 first-round picks for him. I can't get 4 first-round picks for Pete Carroll.
And I also don't think the Raiders can match and even get close to an offer the Cowboys would match. Like you say they're not going to offer a bag of nickels, and I love Derek Carr. I think he's great. He's not Dak Prescott. He's not Dak Prescott's ceiling is much higher than Derek Carr's. So unless if Dallas is offering Dak and what pick do they have this year? I think it's 12. And Oakland's offering Derek Carr and 19, and they're not willing.
Would it have to be the quarterback plus picks? I mean, that doesn't make any sense to me, especially if.
Well, what do you mean? What are you going to have? Are you going to keep Derek Carr, and Russell Wilson on the same team? That doesn't make any sense.
Why would Seattle get themselves into a situation where they either take a Dak Prescott, who they know they're going to have to overpay to keep, or they take a guy like Derek Carr, who's basically a useless to them? You want the draft pick so you can build around a young quarterback.
If these are the 2 teams that are doing it, then the Oakland's going to have to offer Carr in a package. They can't sustain having 2 $35 million players on a roster. You can't do
it. Or
they
can flip Derek Carr to New England for a second or third round pick, and then take those picks.
Who's ever done that? Who's ever done that in the history of sports? Nobody. You can't sustain.
Who's ever traded for a top 5 quarterback? Who's ever traded for a top 5 quarterback in the history of the NFL? Who's done it?
Yeah, but you can't. So wait. So you're hold on. You're telling me that at this point you're going to have Derek Carr. You're going to take on Russell Wilson. Then you're going to try to move Derek Carr to a team. What makes you think that team is not going to offer you nothing? Because then
why would you not flip Derek Carr first? If I'm a GM, I'm flipping Derek Carr first if I know I have a reasonable shot at Russell Wilson, especially if I can get a package of picks for Derek Carr that I can then turn to flip for Russell Wilson as well.
But you're trying to do 2 deals at one time now.
That's what GMs get paid to do.
Yeah, I understand. But
they get paid to do what's in the best interest of the organization.
To your point, quarterbacks don't get traded. So now you're trying to make two historic trades in the same season. That doesn't make sense.
Well, I don't think Derek Carr trades a historic trade. I think Carson Wentz is bigger than. The
situation is no way. Derek Carr gets way more than Carson Wentz got.
Yeah, so there was a talk way back when Deshaun Watson, there was talk about him going to the Raiders, and the proposed 2-trade deal was going to be Derek Carr to the Washington football team for 2 firsts, and then take those 2 plus 2 Oakland or Las Vegas firsts and send 4 to Houston for Deshaun Watson. So I understand what Nick's saying, like you could do a 2-trade type of deal like that.
Well, yeah, but that's not what he's saying. He's saying you never include Derek Carr. No, so it's not. So a 3-team deal is different. If you work out a 3-team deal, that's one thing. You're saying make the trade, then make another trade. Like that doesn't happen.
Well, no. What difference does it make what order you do it? I'm saying
it makes all the difference in what order you do it. Because if you don't make all trades at the same time, you lose all your leverage. When you have 2 $30, $40 million players on your roster, another team is going to be like, look, you're going to be forced to release
Why
him.
would I advocate trading Derek Carr after you acquire Russell Wilson? That's never anything that I said. Why would I advocate? That doesn't even make sense. But if you
just
get
said
Russell
Derek Carr
Wilson,
shouldn't be involved in a package to the Seahawks.
I'm saying if I'm the Seahawks, why do I want Derek Carr? That's not enticing. I don't want Dak Prescott either.
He's the top 10 quarterback in the league.
Under John Gruden, maybe. I don't know. I don't think Derek Carr's a top 10 quarterback.
Oh.
I don't feel that way.
I think he is.
Well,
I think Dak Prescott is too. So
I think Dak Prescott is. I don't think Derek Carr is. Derek Carr.
Yeah, the guy who's completed over 70% of his passes and 4,000 yards in the past 2 seasons. I don't think he's a top 10 quarterback. I don't think he's a top 10 quarterback. Not now. Name 10 quarterback. Do you think Lamar Jackson's better than Derek Carr?
Absolutely. Lamar Jackson won an MVP. Lamar Jackson won an MVP. How many MVPs does Derek Carr have? How many playoff appearances does Derek Carr have? I'm just curious because you guys are big on wins. That's why Tom Brady's the greatest of all time. So how many playoff appearances does Derek Carr have?
How many playoff wins does Lamar Jackson have?
Oh, he has more playoff appearances.
Oh, just I'm big on wins. So how many wins does Lamar Jackson have?
So you're going to follow
Carr, right? Hey, real quick, he does have the same amount of playoff wins as Derek Carr, right?
Well, okay, so we're going to knock Lamar Jackson for making the playoffs.
No, I'm going to knock Lamar Jackson because he's a terrible quarterback.
Yeah, he won an MVP.
As a running back, yeah.
He's not a running back. He won an MVP as a quarterback.
He's a running back. Okay.
He throws the ball.
Terribly.
Oh, enough to win MVP.
So does Antoine Randall and Hines Ward. So,
well, not enough to win MVP.
No.
Derek Carr.
I would take Derek Carr over Lamar Jackson. That's just me personally.
Yeah, every time.
Especially in Seattle. You said why would Seattle want him? Like Sully said, he's going to complete 70% of his passes. You talk about game managers. He is
why he's not going to do that in Seattle. He's not going to do that in Seattle under Pete Carroll. He'll do it for John Gruden. He's not going to do it in Seattle under Pete Carroll. If Russell Wilson can't do it, Derek Carr's certainly not going to do it. You have to look at the system too. Come on, we're removing variables here. He's going to go to a run-first offense as opposed to Gruden, who's got a pass-first offense. Come on,
a run-first offense would help his completion percentage. What are you talking about?
Because he would throw the ball. He would throw the ball a lot less and
complete more passes.
Maybe
one's just a more accurate quarterback, which I think he is. Derek Carr's just more accurate than Russell Wilson.
Russell Wilson's a Super Bowl champion. Should be a 2-time Super Bowl champion.
Okay, that doesn't mean I'm not saying he's a bad quarterback. He's just one's more accurate than the other. Russell Wilson's better at a lot of other things, but I think Derek Carr's more accurate. I
think Russell Wilson throws a better deep ball, but if you have a run-first offense, who cares?
It's I don't know. I think Derek Carr is again.
I think Russell Wilson is like a different stratosphere than Derek Carr.
I agree. I'm not saying he's not, but that's why you get Derek Carr and 2 firsts or something like that.
You want Derek Carr? No one wants Derek Carr. Maybe New England. No offense.
I think there are plenty of teams that would want Derek Carr. Plenty.
Yeah, probably. I'd say the bottom. The ones who don't have a top 20 quarterback.
No, I'd say any team that doesn't have
a top 15 quarterback, maybe.
which
You
is
think the Ravens will give up Lamar Jackson? You think Ravens?
no, but they've built their whole team around Lamar Jackson. I think
the Chicago Bears wouldn't take Derek Carr.
The Chicago Bears.
I mean, come on.
Let me ask you, Derek Carr on the Washington football team that just won 10 games with Alex Smith, that's a 12-win ball club with Derek Carr.
Whoa. They did not win 10 games, A.
Oh, 9.
So they won 7 games. They won 7 games. They were under 500.
I mean, that's 12 games. That's 100%. Bro, they were the 6th best defense in the league.
They lost to the Giants twice. They lost to the Giants twice. The Washington football team is terrible. That division was basically the way it was because Dak got hurt. Otherwise, Dallas is in the playoffs, no questions asked.
I mean, I don't disagree there, but I don't think Washington's a terrible football team at all. I think
they're third best in the division.
Derek Carr on that football team, and they're easily a 10-win team minimum.
Oh gosh,
him and Scary Terry would be insane. I think.
Oh god,
Scary Terry got 1,200 yards with Alex Smith. Are you kidding me?
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Derek
I definitely
Carr.
think we could do a whole show apparently about Derek Carr and how good he is.
We should.
We win that show. We win that show. The stats back it up.
They do.
The only stat that you're going to have is yes, he hasn't made the playoffs. But he's in the Chiefs division, so he's not going to win that division ever. So then you're hoping for a wild card. And but I mean, I don't think anybody's ever going to sit back and claim the Raiders are a talented football team. But you look back, and I'm telling you, look at his individual passing statistics, which I know you're a big stats guy, and Derek Carr's a top 10 quarterback in the league. It would shock you. I'm telling you, it would shock you how good.
It wouldn't shock me. He plays from behind all the time, so he has to throw the ball. It's literally not, like it's
not because they're not scoring 35. Like they're not losing like games like that. They're losing 26-17 and stuff like that. Like it's crazy efficient, good numbers. I'm telling you.
Yeah, on a horrible team. I mean, on
a horrible team.
Give him DK Metcalf.
Exactly. Give him DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, and let's see what he can do.
Yeah, I mean, because Russell Wilson did a lot with those guys, so you can only imagine if Russell Wilson did a lot, Derek Carr will definitely do a lot. So, yeah.
Russell Wilson did a whole lot with those two guys.
How much do you win with those two guys?
Didn't he win a Super Bowl with Tyler Lockett? I'm pretty sure he did.
But he didn't win. Yeah, well, it was more Doug Baldwin, but we can say Tyler Lockett was on the team.
DK Metcalf is better than Doug Baldwin, so he's got a better Doug Baldwin and a Tyler Lockett, and yet he can't – nothing because they have no defense. So wait, so now Russell Wilson isn't good because he didn't win?
No, that's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying if Russell Wilson can't do it, Derek Carr's not
carry his team to a championship?
Derek Carr can't carry anything to the playoffs.
No, he can't.
Derek Carr can't carry anything to the playoffs. Like
Derek Carr on the Seahawks, that's still a playoff team.
Derek Carr. You're going to get like 5 quarterbacks in the first round this year that are better than Derek Carr.
Well, that's not a knock on Derek Carr. And yet the Jets shouldn't take a quarterback because Sam Darnold's there, right? You're on record for saying that. So watch what you say.
Well, I mean, the Jets should get Derek Carr. They'd be a match made in heaven. 2 absolute dumpster fires. I mean, the Jets should grab Derek Carr.
So Sam Darnold's better than Derek Carr?
I mean, I don't know. Sam Darnold has never had a chance to succeed.
So now he can't. So wait. So never mind. I'm not even going to go down that rabbit hole because now you're just talking yourself into retardedness.
So, getting to our game, which is fact or fiction. I put together some really great ones. The way the game works is I will make a statement. You guys will decide whether that statement is a fact or whether it is fiction. At the end of 10 questions, if you guys are tied, we will have a tiebreaker. Starting things off with baseball, I have Michael Jordan played a season in Double-A baseball for the Birmingham Barons. Mike Trout played 1 season of Double-A baseball for Arkansas. In their 1 season, Michael Jordan had more hits than Mike Trout did in his 1 Double-A season.
Man, I'm going to go fiction. I feel like you're setting me up there. Stop looking down. What are you looking at your phone for, man?
I was looking at Derek Carr's awful stats.
Yeah.
Barely throwing for 4,000 yards. So I would go. I would go with.
Terrible guy. I
would go with. I don't know, Wayne. I feel like you're asking this question to slip me up. No way does Michael Jordan out-hit Trout.
So you've
No way.
fiction or fact?
That is fiction. Yes, Mike Trout had 115 hits. Michael Jordan had 88, so 30 hits shy. But yeah, I was kind of throwing that in there to kind of trip you guys up.
I've actually got a Mike Trout Barron rookie card, honestly.
There you go.
Yeah, if him in his Barron uniform, a Kellogg's card. It's pretty dope.
1982, Ricky Henderson had more stolen bases than he had hits.
This one you have to start because we flip back and forth.
Okay. More stolen bases than hits.
In 1982, the year that he set the record.
Yeah. What's the record?
Nah.
That is no.
You don't know it. That's your fault, bro.
Right. Well, I didn't know I'm going to say
it's a lot.
It is a lot. It was over 100. That's what's making me. I'm going to say yes. He had more stolen bases than hits.
Yeah, I'm going to go fact.
It is fiction. It is close though.
I was going to say I know it's close.
Yeah, he had 130 stolen bases, 143 hits.
Oh, it's so close. So close.
The record for most Gold Gloves in the major leagues is 18. That is a fact. The fact or fiction statement is that record is held by Greg Maddux.
Fact.
It's such a weird stat because Golden Gloves for pitchers are such stupid awards.
I agree.
I don't know. I'll go with fact.
It is a fact. 18 for Greg Maddux, 16 for Brooks Robinson. He's in second place.
Nice, Brooks Robinson.
Yeah, I knew that one off rip.
Basketball.
Shout out to Ray, by the way, for making me know that.
Big Ray guy.
Ray Fabrice, one of the guys on Facebook All Sports.
Nice.
I remember him posting that exact kind of trivia question.
Fact or fiction, we've got 3 basketball statements. All of them are going to be Wilt-centric because I love talking about Wilt Chamberlain. So the first one, it is a fact that Wilt Chamberlain won 4 MVP awards. The statement is, in those 4 seasons, he accumulated more rebounds than Dennis Rodman had his entire NBA career.
I'm glad I don't have to go first on this one.
In those 4 seasons, I'm going to go fiction.
Man, that's what I wanted to go.
Well, you can. I mean, you still can.
Yeah, I know, but at some point I got to go different than you to win the game.
There's a tiebreaker at the end.
Yeah, I know, but
wait, who's winning?
It's tied.
It's tied.
Oh, okay, nice.
We haven't disagreed once, so.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Man, I really want to say fact on this one, but I feel like you're setting me up, Wayne. Because Dennis Rodman, you would think should be scoring, but he's got a ton of rebounds. But did he for like the rest? I'm going fact.
It is fiction.
Balls.
And it's not even close, actually. So in those 4 seasons, Wilt Chamberlain had 7,793 rebounds. Dennis Rodman had 11,954.
Yeah, I figured as much.
All right, so the next Wilt Chamberlain one, similar, which is in one of my all-time favorite basketball players is Glenn Big Dog Robinson. I think John Vincent, JV, likes him as well. Averaged 30 points per game at Purdue, was the number 1 overall pick. He actually averaged 20.7 points per game for his NBA career. I think he's one of the more underrated players of all time.
I think he's one of the few guys who's averaged 20 and not in the Hall.
Yeah, probably, yeah. So my question for you is this. In Wilt Chamberlain's first 5 seasons in the league, he scored more points than Glenn Robinson scored his entire NBA career.
Fuck me.
First
fact.
Yeah, I have to go fact.
It is a fact. Wilt Chamberlain in his first 5 seasons scored 16,303 points. Big Dog scored 14,234 for his career.
That's wild.
How come we never talked about Glenn Robinson not being in the Hall, but Mitch Richmond is?
Yeah, another 20 point per game scorer. Huh?
Yeah.
We'll get to there.
All right. The last Wilt Chamberlain one, again, comparing it, Wilt Chamberlain averaged 46 minutes per game for his entire career. That's a fact. That's nuts. Number 2 is Allen Iverson at 41.4.
Wait, you're asking me fact or fiction?
Is that fact or fiction?
Fact or fiction, Allen Iverson is number 2 in minutes per game for his career at 41.4.
Jeez. Oh man, that's really great. I think I have to consider later on in Iverson's career, he bounced around a bit, and I think that
the fact or fiction isn't the 41.4. That's a fact. He averaged 41.4 minutes per game. Is that second all time?
Is it second all time?
So Wilt's 46.
Yeah, essentially he's asking, is AI second all time in minutes per game?
5 whole minutes. Fact. We still got football though. You should beat me in that, right, Mr. Derek Carr?
I mean, if they're Derek Carr centered questions, I may have you. Yeah. I'm going to go fiction. I got to assume somebody played more minutes than that.
It is fiction. Allen Iverson is 4th all time in minutes played. So still quite good. Number 2 is Bill Russell at 42.3, and then Oscar Robertson at 42.
See, that's what I'm saying. There's too many older guys that were really good that I was like, there's no way.
Well, there's only 3 guys ahead of him. That's still pretty impressive.
No, I know, but once you mentioned the 5 minutes, I was like, that's a lot of freaking time, man. Like somebody had to have played longer.
And then one I just wanted to throw out there before we get to the football, it's not necessarily a statement. Well, it's a statement, but it's not a fact or fiction part of the game. Wilt Chamberlain had 8 40-40 games in his career. That's 40 points, 40 rebounds. Second place is everybody else in history with 0.
Just throw that.
Just throw that one out there.
Yeah. Well, when you're playing when there's 8 teams. So.
Yeah. Well, Bill Russell played when there were 8 teams, and he never did it. So, football questions, fact or fiction. Who's going first in this one?
I just went first, yeah.
Okay. So, Bruce Smith.
Let's go.
It is a fact. Bruce Smith has 200 career sacks. That is first all time in NFL history. Bruce Smith never led the league in sacks.
That's a good question. Now I got to go back to my Rolodex and see if I can remember any black on his Football's Future page or Football Reference page. I mean, man, I'm going to go fact. He had to have done it. Fact.
Well, the question is he never did.
Fiction.
Fiction.
Yeah, I'd have to say fiction as well.
He had a 20-sack season. That had to have led the league.
It is a fact. He never led the league in sacks.
What?
Wow.
Yeah. He didn't have a 20-sack season, though. It was 17.
This one's – I'm glad that Nick goes first on this one.
Tom Brady question.
It is a Tom Brady question.
Yeah, I knew it was going to be a Tom Brady question.
Oh, God.
Fact or fiction, Tom Brady has led the NFL in passing yards as much as Peyton, Eli, and Aaron Rodgers combined.
I'm confused.
So Tom Brady has led the league in passing yards as many times as Peyton Manning, Eli Manning, and Aaron Rodgers have led the league combined.
So, for instance,
he left out Drew Brees for a reason.
I wanted to have the Manning brothers in there. But.
You said Eli Manning?
Peyton, Eli, and Aaron combined have led the league in passing yards as many times as Tom Brady has.
I mean, Tom Brady's like the Yak King, dink and dunk Brady. I'm going to go fact.
So we're saying that Tom Brady has led the league more than
same number of times as Peyton,
same number,
Eli, and Aaron Rodgers combined.
I said fact. I'm sticking with fact. I mean,
you have to assume it's close, or I wouldn't even be asking it.
I don't. Yeah. 4,000 rebounds isn't close, and you ask.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, that's true.
So you bring up a good point. Yeah.
Right. I think he's only done it once.
Yards, though. That's what I was thinking, too. It's like passing yards. And then, like, Eli probably never did it.
Never did. And then
does Aaron Rodgers ever do it? I don't think Aaron Rodgers
has ever done it either.
Peyton definitely did.
And then you got Peyton, but did Peyton do it twice and Tom only do it once? I'm going to go fiction.
You go fiction. Nick says fact. It is a fact. Tom and Peyton both did it 3 times. Aaron and Eli never have.
Yeah. See, I thought it was 3 and 2.
How many times did Drew Brees do it?
I think he was like 5 times.
How many Super Bowls?
Oh, well, not many good defense.
It's all about leading your team to a championship and carrying your football team, I thought, right? But it works for basketball, but not for football. We'll go down that rabbit hole.
You can't go over. I mean, comparing sports is
sure you can.
All right, let's not waste a half an hour on this again.
I know.
All right,
I'm down 1 now, right? Shite.
Sully's going first. He is down 1 in football. Walter Payton never ran for 2,000 yards. That's a fact. However, his 132.3 yards per game in 1977 is the best all time.
I'm doing math. Hold on. I think I'm going fiction.
I'm just going to go fiction to rely on my hockey knowledge because I'm not one. It's strategy, bro.
It is fiction. Walter
Jim Brown?
Jim Brown and O.J. Simpson are
literally doing math. I said it. I was like, nah, because Jim Brown, I think, only played like 10 games in that season or something like that, and he had like a crazy amount of yards.
So that means I win, unless
we have a hockey question left. You're up 1. We have 1 question left.
So I have to guess opposite of you right here.
Okay. So the most career goals for a goalie is 2.
Is that fact or fiction? Oh, wow.
I understand that. I like how Sully goes, is that fact or fiction? Like, I don't know.
Because you were stuck. I was like, is there more? Or yeah, this one's a tough one. So that's
you know why it's difficult. Can I just explain why it's difficult? I feel like I'm on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire with my explanations here.
I know.
But the reason it's difficult is because like back in the day, now no one's ever going to do it. But like back in the day, goalies like used to come out to like center ice and shit, and they were insane. They didn't even wear masks.
Yeah, I know.
Because they were psychopaths.
And the pressure is on you because you have a 1-question lead. You know Sully's going to take the opposite. So if you get it wrong, we go to the tiebreaker. You have to get this one right because you go first.
Can I phone a friend? Even for winning the Derek Carr segment, I don't get an extra.
Oh, you did not win.
Geez, 2 is the fact. Final answer.
I wanted to go fact because if it would have been a different number, like why 2? 2's so low.
Yeah.
I gotta go fiction.
It is a fact. It is.
Let's go.
Ron Hextall and Martin Brodeur are tied with 2 career goals.
Yeah.
But just for S&Gs, if you guys wanted the tiebreaker question, it was going to see who could get closer to how many career hits exactly Albert Pujols has.
Do you want me to go first?
Sure.
You have to. I just want.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
See, I wish I even had a clue. I wish you'd ask me how many hits Pete Rose has.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. How many does Pete Rose have? And then you can think about like Pujols. What?
4,256.
Yeah. But I'm saying like then
I'm
try
gonna go with
your head.
3,850.
3850.
I think that 3850 is a solid number. I'm gonna go 3677.
Yeah, I'd have gone 3849 if I was you. But yeah, that's the same thing.
I will say this, if it had gone to a tiebreaker, it would have been Nick because it is 3,236.
Because he was so bad in Anaheim.
Yeah, that's true. He was so bad.
So that is the show. We appreciate everybody sticking around for the game and obviously checking out the segments. They're doing pretty well. If you guys just want to watch one segment, the Russell Wilson one turned into much bigger of a segment than I thought it was going to be.
Well, you might have to rename it Russell Wilson / Derek Carr.
Russell Wilson Part 1, Part 2.
Yeah, for sure. That was a good one. We'll have to retouch on that.
Please like and subscribe at the bottom here. Definitely, if you prefer to listen to the podcast rather than watch it, we are available on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, and Amazon Music. You can download or stream the episodes if that's easier for you, or you can watch us here on Facebook. Check us out on Facebook, on YouTube, but do check us out on Facebook at Infinity Sports Podcast, on Instagram at Infinity Sports Podcast, and on Twitter at Sports Infinity 5. So again, thank you everybody. I'm Wayne G. Sully, Nick P. You guys have any final thoughts? Yeah.
Derek Carr's better than Nick says he is.
All right.
Kenny.
Well.